Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juggernaut, and this is Medieval Dynasties, and I will show you basically like a first impressions video slash preview of what the game is like, and what you can expect from it. And I know I'm a little bit late in terms of covering it, but I wanted to be late on purpose, to be honest with you, because there were some problems with the game early on launch, and they added a few more features now. Well, I say on launch, on like Alpha 0.1, so now it's 0.1.0.6, which is a little bit better than the previous ones, and they've added a few things, fixed a few things here and there, so now it's a little bit more enjoyable. So what is Medieval Dynasties? Well, basically it's a survival type game, very much in the same vein as Ark Survival Evolved or Rust or something along those lines, except it's a lot more focused on the player building his own village and his community and his dynasty, or dynasty, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So you will need to find a wife, you will need to have children, and when you die, your children will inherit you, and you will die either due to age or due to a hunting accident. That's more or less it. I've never actually died of starvation or of thirst or anything else. It's just mostly those two things as far as I'm concerned. The game currently doesn't focus a lot on combat between players, but I'm sure that that will be an important thing, and it will be added later down the line. It is in very, very early access, and that's pretty much the only thing holding this game back currently. It is so early on in development that, well, you know, you can't help but be a little bit pessimistic about those things, because games like these, either they take too long to make, or they, you know, don't take as much time as they need and end up kind of being disappointments often. But, you know, then again, you do have some extremely successful examples of games of this style, like Conan Exiles, which was originally not that great, but, you know, eventually it got better and better. So anyways, this game, again, focuses on slightly different things, but let's go into the options menu first and figure out what we have here. So the game settings, it's not that great. Graphics settings, they do give you quite a few graphics options. The one thing I don't see, though, can you guess what it is? Yeah, it's a frickin' FOV slider. Where's my FOV slider? Where is it? I physically cannot play the game without an FOV slider. It makes me sick. Thankfully, the default FOV isn't bad. So we have steering horizontal sensitivity, different options for the texture quality and stuff like that, foliage, shadows, etc., etc. And you can look at the key bindings. That's about all you can do. You can't rebind anything. You cannot rebind anything. You can play on controller as well, but you can't rebind anything. It's horrible is what it is, but it is Alpha 0.1, so I guess I'm going to let it slide for now. Anyways, I'm going to start up a new game, because I want to just show you the basics. I do have a village already going, but I want to show you the basics. I'm going to skip the entire introductions bit, and we're just going to get straight into the gameplay. There is a tiny bit of a story behind it, but it's mostly irrelevant. And here we are. So, quick little introduction into the UI, I think, is generally the best way of doing videos like these from past experience. So I'm going to start collecting some branches, because we're going to need a lot of those, and I'm going to introduce you basically to the UI. So, first of all, on the left side of the screen, there is absolutely nothing in the in the upper left side, sorry, but in the lower left side, there is a really important sort of not scroll, but like wheel-looking thing. So, here is your thirst, food, health, and stamina, respectively, from right to left. Thirst, food, health, and stamina. So, basically, it's pretty self-explanatory. Stamina replenishes on its own as you do actions. Run. Building takes up stamina. Pretty much anything you do takes up stamina, except for walking. Sprinting does take stamina, as you can see, though. Jumping takes stamina, stuff like that. Again, important. Building, working the fields, obviously, all those things take up stamina. Well, not take up stamina, but use stamina as well. So, health, on the other hand, quite an important resource, as you might expect, does not replenish quickly and naturally. Health will only replenish if you eat certain types of food that replenish a little bit of health, or alternatively, if you have thirst and hunger full, or at least relatively close to full, then you will slowly regain health. But health is kind of difficult to regain in this game. Yeah, it's not exactly simple. So, anyways, if you click M, this is our map, and you always, from what I've figured, start near the village of Gustovia. I mean, I've started 3 times, and it's placed me here all 3 times, so I think it's safe to assume that you always start near this village. Basically, what you want to do here is you want to go out and build your own village somewhere. The map is fairly large, might not look like it, but getting from here to Borovo is quite the trek. Getting from here to Denitsa is gonna take a while, right? I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe it doesn't look like it when you zoom in like this, or even zoom out. It seems a little bit close, but you know, we're here. We're gonna get to Gustovia right now, and what count how much time is it gonna take? Okay, not exactly a great example because the walls are here, but this is not Gustovia on the map. You need to actually go all the way inside, and here, right around here, is where it is on the map. So, you know, not a huge map, but you do have a decent bit of building space, and it's not inaccessible, the far out regions, but they're not exactly something you can get to instantly. Can I pick these up? No, that would be theft. Alright. But you have no problem just rolling them down there. Anyways. Alright. Right side is kind of like your tutorial area of where you do stuff like torch, punch, etc, etc. You also have some, you can also see what's equipped in your hand. Up there are quests, and in the middle is the compass along with the season indicator. And yes, those are extremely important, because guess what? In winter, there's not that many things growing, so you do need to actually account for those. Anyways, my name is Ratimir, and I came from the south looking for my uncle Lorden. Right. Well, at least I have a place to stay, but tell me now, where is my uncle? Right. Okay, well, guess what? Uncle's dead. Basically, we're going to need to do everything on our own. Too bad, so sad. A new beginning. And what I did last time, and what I found to be fairly effective, is to build a settlement sort of my own right over yonder. Now, reason for that being, you cannot actually build inside the village. This is a community of its own, and you can't really do much about it. So you're going to need to find a place that's not inhabited and not too close to any of the villages to actually make your own settlement. But before we do that, we are going to need to collect some reeds. Took me a while to realize that actually it's reeds that you get straw from, which I thought I'll need to buy it, or maybe like plant it and wait for it to grow or something. But no, you can actually get straw from just from collecting reeds. And I'm going to need that. I'd say a fair amount. That seems all right. Along with some more sticks, and we're going to get to building. And through the aforementioned, I'm going to show you what you're going to be doing for the vast majority of the game, which is basically 2 things. You're going to collect resources, build, and you're going to go out and hunt. Now, hunting's probably the most interesting out of all of these things because there's quite a bit of danger to it. But for now, let's go with the crafting wheel here and go with house, simple, small house. Now we're going to need 6 logs to build like what I guess is the foundation to it. So because of that, first we're going to need a stone axe to cut down these logs, and for that we're going to need stone. So let's go and just look around for stone, basically. We're looking... essentially there should be just some on the ground. I think I'm just being... A, blind, 2, stupidly unlucky. I'm pretty sure last time I found them next to the road here, but let's go down... down by the water over there, I suppose we might find some. Or it's like a... It's not like a... It's not a beach because it's next to a river. Can you call it a beach? It's like a river bank, I suppose. Yeah. There were stones here last time. Was it on 1 point? Here we go, yeah. wasn't on 0.1.0.6. Very complicated to say, rather simple to see in the game version. Oh, berries, not that useful to us right now, but they will be in the future. So for now, let's just get a stone axe going, and let's chop down some woods. Let's chop down some wood, and I'll show you how that looks. So, tree, just any tree, doesn't matter. Oh, by the way, you might be interested. This is kind of what had me worried a little bit, I guess, for in survival purposes, or for survival reasons at the start, was I know that back in the day, hunting was kind of complicated, because you couldn't just hunt anywhere you wanted. You needed to find, you know, a piece of the woods that wasn't in the possession of a particular wealthy baron or duke or whatever, because if you hunted from the lords or the kings or whatever woods, you would be, like, executed, I think. I'm fairly certain that was just the death penalty in most places. So I was like, well, is there, like, a particular area I need to go? No, the entire map is open to you. The barons and such, they do come to collect taxes, but they don't actually hold the land or hunt in the land themselves, or have anyone patrol it for those purposes. Or for any purposes, really. They just sort of gave up on the place. They come and collect taxes, that's all. It's about all they do. It's kind of depressing, because you're just left to fend for yourself, and you still need to pay taxes, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Modern take and critique of the feudal system, you know, how controversial. Anyways, jokes aside, let's... Oh, there's a big tree, let's cut this down. Obviously, as you can see, the... No, not that way, I wanted you to fall this way. Not in the river! Alright. Anyways, does it really not matter that this is a bigger log than... I guess not. Okay. So, as you can see, we're a bit over the weight limit right now, which is a little bit annoying, but that's okay. It's actually not really okay, because I need to crawl my way over to build the house. Anyways, while I'm doing that, the Dynasty system and the whole thing is a little bit simple currently. Essentially, you can get people to join your settlement. You can get them to... Well, you can have a wife, and you can do all that. It's functional, but it doesn't seem to work. I think it's not where they want it to be yet. Because currently, the control that you have over the people that join your settlement is a little bit simplistic, and you can't actually get them to do much. So I believe you can get them to, like, work the fields or whatever, but it's really you know, you don't have a lot of say and a lot of influence over how your settlement is going to be run and all of that, and I think they're going to implement more of those things later down the line. But so far, the reason I'm taking it so slowly and doing everything, you know, like this step by step, I'm going to show you how to build a house, show you everything, is because there's actually not much more to the game, if you can believe that. So you place your house, and credit where credit is due, placing buildings is really simple. The foundation will go up to make it level, so there's no, like, you don't have to fiddle with terrain too much, even when you're building in, like, well, in some pretty disastrous uneven terrain, if we're honest. So, yeah, that's, I approve of that, definitely. Anyways, let's get the hammer out, and then, there you go. As you can see, this takes quite a bit of stamina, but, you know, you build your house, and you're going to be doing this for, well, for quite a bit of the game, to be honest with you. So there's a window there. Let's say I don't want this to be a wall. I want this to be a window as well. And it's gonna be a wattle. Yeah, sure. Because it's the same as this, basically. Just wanted to make it fit in with everything. All right, cool. Now I think you realise why I said we were going to need a lot of sticks, and that's effectively it. Later on the line, we're going to build a farm, But I think it's important currently to take you through all the entire crafting wheel. It is going to be a little bit tedious, but I think it's important for your general understanding of the game, because all you see in this crafting menu is basically all that's in the game right now. Now, there is a skill tree, which I highly, highly approve of, but honestly, for my taste, and I do like to progress through these games perhaps a little bit more quickly than most people, you gain points here a little bit too slowly. I'm going to need to build like 10 houses like that unnecessarily just to get some skills here. Generally, I prefer that if I build one house that I unlock, you know, enough in the way of skill to build another house that's a lot better than this one, effectively, right? But unfortunately, the progression is rather slow. In terms of resources, you actually don't need that much. I mean, as you saw from a few minutes of gathering supplies and foraging out into the woods, I am able to gather enough to build a house. I need to chop down like maybe one or two more trees and gather a little bit more straw, but that's about it. We have our house, right? But leave that aside for now. Let's go through the crafting menu. So these are all the different tools that you can craft. Some of them you will need to unlock later. I think there's a shovel that you can unlock and stuff like that. So to that end, let's actually go to the skill tree. So these effectively are how quickly you dig, like 5% faster logging. Logging. Logging is something very different. 5% faster mining, 5% slower decay, or 5% more durability, basically. This isn't very exciting, and you gain this so slow. I mean, it's convenient, it's good for the game, it speeds things up, okay, but it's not exactly tons of content behind here, is it? You can carry plus 5 kilograms in your inventory, that's not a lot. That's not a big difference, to be honest with you. So these are just like small convenience upgrades. You then get hunting, which pretty much does a similar thing for hunting. Farming, diplomacy. Diplomacy is actually kind of nice. You gain more points and you're more likable with the local villagers, and you need to work with them basically. If you're going to sell things, if you're going to get people to actually join you and leave their village, you're going to need to talk to them. You're going to need to seduce someone to have children with, so on and so forth, kind of like Sim style. You're going to need to work with the people around, but that's about it. Survival, actually I think it's rather important, because like survival knowledge obviously increases the speed at which you gain skill points from survival activities. That's quite good. More health, more stamina, etc., etc. These are actually a little bit more influential and important than the other ones. But the most important of all of these, I would say, is and here's the management for the. Ooh, this has changed since last time I played, I think. Yeah. So this is where you like manage your settlement. So you will need to pay taxes, as you can see. There is a demand for wood, food, stuff like that. But that's for later in the game. Right now, we don't have any. We don't need to worry basically about this. And dynasty reputation is. Well, effectively, it's how respected your dynasty is. The more you help people and stuff like that, the more they're gonna like you. And if you get caught stealing stuff, you're gonna lose reputation. And if you lose too much reputation, or you go in the negative too much, you will lose the game. You're gonna be exiled from the valley or the province or whatever. This is what I want to talk to you about, though. The technology thing is pretty darn important. So here, you actually unlock points to build things. So you can unlock a shovel, simple stick fence, wooden fence, palisades, stone fence, and over here like bows, traps, campfires, longbow, stone pike, barn, kludge, bucket, and then obviously shirts and fur shoes and leather gloves and stuff like that. Iron axe, vests, and that's about all. So the reason I understand this is taking a while, and is not exactly a very first impressions-y type of, here's what the game's about, here's what you do in it, that's it. I am taking my time with it, I understand, but the reason is that's all there is in the game right now. It's early access, there isn't actually that much. So these are all the tools you can build. These are all the buildings you can build. So you have 3 types of houses, which again later you can unlock. You can make them a little bit more complicated and stuff like that, but effectively that's all. Resources, this is what you can build. Storage is this, and you will need to unlock it first. You don't have access to any of these. Farming is pretty much just this. Obviously you can have different types of farms, and then you can plant different things inside them, but that's more or less it. And fences, campfires, traps, and all you have in furniture is washtubs and archer targets to practice. That's all. Compare this to something like Ark Survival, or I keep comparing it to that because it sort of reminds me of at least in the gameplay of chopping down trees and building stuff. They actually in the actual description of the game they compare it more to what's the thing for the Switch? Give me a second. Animal Crossing. Yeah, they compare it to Animal Crossing, except in the feudal era, where you just, have to deal with all the problems of the feudal age, but more along those lines than actual, there's no dinosaurs, there's no monsters, nothing unrealistic like that, so I guess in that sense it's more akin to that game. Anyways, that's basically it as far as the game's concerned. Which, yeah, it's not ideal, but certainly there is something to it. I would say that, the potential's there. I do like the sort of, again, if you want Animal Crossing, I think it's more like Ark or Conan Exiles, just minus all the combat, or minus the, not exactly minus the combat. You still need to hunt like bears and wolves and stuff like that, but minus the unrealistic elements, or the sort of super fantasy elements. And, like, I guess a little bit of mix of, people say Crusader Kings, but it's not, no, you just have a dynasty, like, that's all. There's no plotting, scheming, conquering territory or whatever, and no, it's not Crusader Kings, it's you just have a dynasty system where you have your kid, your wife, and your kids, that's all about. That's all there is, and yeah, fair enough, you have some reputation to build with, within the valley, or the province, however you call it, but yeah. It's not really much more than that, for now at the very least. What I'm hoping is that the game will not get abandoned. Obviously this is super early access, it's going to have a ton of stuff added to it. I think relatively shortly, if I had to guess. They have been super active with releasing patches and fixing things, and I'm hoping that, within a year or so, they're gonna move up by quite a few numbers on the early access versions and stuff. And that we will have a better experience overall to enjoy. But so far, the game's kind of simple. The game's kind of simple, and it's satisfying. As much as critical as I want to be of it, it does actually do what it wants to do fairly well, and it is very satisfying. To me, at least. It depends on whether you like this type of game to begin with or not. But to me, just going out in the middle of nowhere and building up your own community, and within this sort of realistic system, I think it does appeal to enough people, at least judging by the Steam reviews and what other people have been talking about it. It does have its charm, and I do like it in that sense. I'm just hoping that a lot more gets done, and a lot more gets added to the game to make it more interesting to play, and to have just basically at the end of the day just to get you to do more things, like setting up caravans between your place and other places would be great. A sort of war system where maybe brigands would come in and raid, or you need to, I don't know, maybe fight someone for territory or for whatever, or maybe just defend yourself. That would be great. This is far-fetched, and I don't think they're going to implement this, but maybe being drafted into war wouldn't be the worst idea ever. Maybe just to fight, like a local regional struggle against a different baron. That would be great. I'd love to see the map expanded a little bit. Because, like I said, it's not small by any means, but it's not the biggest map ever. For example, like, we're here, that's Borovo, right? It's not that far away, and I mean, up here there's nothing, so you're pretty much looking at that size of map, which, you know, could be smaller, could be bigger. I'm more so hoping that they add maybe like a city or something to interact with. That'd be great. Even if you can't like build anything in the city or do much inside it in terms of jobs or whatever, maybe just like trade there and go and see the city and compare it to your crappy huts and fields would you know, put things into perspective a little bit, or like castle or something along those lines. I'm hoping that they add that eventually, but again, so far, early access, can't expect too much from it. That's basically the game. Now, there are quests that you're going to need to do, but those come down to you going to a village and asking people what they need, and they will tell you, like, I need clothes, I need leather, I need sticks and stones and stuff like that. You know, they can be rather simple or a little bit more complicated, and what you do is, you basically then go out and provide them with what they need, and they'll give you either money or some resources, or they'll just love you and respect you. Either of those things is important. Anyways, but this is basically the game. I know, kind of simple, but it is satisfactory enough to build a community in this realistic medieval setting, and you do actually get old relatively, well, not relatively quickly, but you do actually get old and die, so that is, you do have a timer attached to everything. Now, what I don't like is the fact that you can't change any of this yet. I would really appreciate if you could, like, for example, change how quickly time passes, or change the density of animals, or just play around with the map in any way, shape, or form, like you can in games of a similar of this style and of this genre, right? Usually they let you, for example, at the very least I know in Ark and in Conan. Oh, I'll talk about this in a second as well. And in Ark and in Conan, you can tweak how quickly you gain experience and stuff like that. That would be great for the game, and the sooner we get it, the better, honestly. But yeah, in terms of furniture, stuff like this does get added automatically, by the way. So you have a cooking pot here and a cauldron, and you have a chest to store stuff in. You don't get to place those get placed automatically, which I like, but I sort of wish I could place most of these on my own, and as far as I know, there's no way to build a bed. So like, maybe I just want one bed for this house, and just to make it my own, and for my peasants and stuff, I'll make it, I'll make them another house over there, and it's general quality of life stuff like that would be nice, but yeah. Effectively, this is the game, and that's all there is to it. You can make food here, you can light a fire, I think, if you can just light it with a torch, and you can cook stuff on it. Here, we're going to put, like, the logs, the rocks and the sticks, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Medieval Dynasties. Very early on in its development and its life, if you will, but with certainly tons of potential. I think we've just been burned too many times with survival or with open survival games that that I would really like to see a little bit more added to the game before I recommend it. But certainly, so far, it looks promising, and yeah, I guess keep an eye on it, is what I would say. Ultimately, I don't think there's enough in it right now to jump in and play it very actively. I think you're going to need to wait for a little bit more stuff to be added, at least personally. For some people, this is perfectly fine and enough, and all respect to you. There is only, you will need to sink some time into getting to the end game and unlocking everything. It does take time to bring people in, it does take a lot of time to collect all the resources, especially the more complicated ones, and the ones that require you to go out and hunt. And in general, like, making resources is kind of complicated, in that, you need to pay attention. For example, here's the seasons tutorial. The season changes automatically after 3 days. Many things depend on the season, including the sowing and the harvesting times. So you need to pay attention to that. Luckily, it does just take 3 days to change between them. But at the same time, like in the winter, you're going to be a bit, you're going to be starving a little bit for food, whereas in summer and spring, there's going to be a lot more food around. The plant life and the surroundings react to what season it is. So actually, I'll show that really quickly. For example, something just ran past, but I guess I'm hallucinating. For example, you saw these mushrooms over here a second ago. I didn't pick one up, but it was next to me. I believe it was somewhere around here. Ah, here it is. So for example, this mushroom only grows in spring, I think, or in... let's check. There we go. Can be found in the forest during autumn. Sorry, yeah, it can be found during autumn. It doesn't grow in the forest during winter, for example, and you can't pick it up. So it's not there at all. So there's nothing to pick up. So yeah, it's an interesting little system they have going, and I think if they can build and expand upon it sufficiently enough, the game will be phenomenal. But so far, it remains to wait and see. So basically, keep your eyes on this one. It looks like an interesting title, but for the time being, we'll just have to wait. Until next time, have fun, take care, and bye-bye. This is pretty much all I have to say for the game. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask down in the comments below, but until next time, have fun, and take care.